Sorry, you couldn't hear us. Thank God. Oh, Lacy, save me. Golden wedding anniversaries.
Yes.
What the hell are they? Are they 50?
50th
Okay,
one, yeah.
so here's the thing. What's 75?
Not a lot of people make it to 75-year anniversaries.
Queen Elizabeth did. What was it?
Well,
what did they call
diamond?
it? Was it the diamond or what's the
Jubilee?
platinum?
Well, I don't know. Well, okay, so wedding anniversaries,
Are
you
they
don't normally
different?
make it to 75 because you have died beforehand.
But it's the same
But
terminology.
there are, probably. I think didn't she have a diamond jubilee?
I don't know if it was she had a platinum one too.
Did she have a platinum one?
Yeah, so which one's, what is this? I've been trying to figure this out for 3
man.
days. I had the Zion Lutherans having their 75th annual sausage supper, and that's how this all started.
The diamond sausage supper or the platinum sausage supper?
And I don't know, and I go, well, I got to find out, and I still have not found out.
Okay, I feel like we can.
I'm gonna find that out. Okay.
Yes.
Silver
is 25.
Okay.
I know that.
All right. So who was getting married?
Well, so
who got married?
got married and then was celebrating that marriage. Harry Schweppe and Angie Schweppe were celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary.
Interesting.
Yes. And they were both really, really involved people in Alton. He owned H.M. Schweppe Clothing Company, which was right across the street, actually, from where we are now. It's where the realty office is, the 117 West 3rd. And then she was crucial in Riverview Park existing because she was part of the Alton Women's Home Association when they formed. And the original location was a house up there. And when the Alton Women's Home moved to their...
Got some answers.
Oh, good. Okay. When the Alton Women's Home moved to their later location, she helped that property become a public park instead of being sold to somebody and like losing all those views to just one person. So that's why we have Riverview Park as a public location.
I am ready for this.
Okay, let's go.
Here we go. Ruby is the 40th, so you got silver,
Okay.
ruby,
Okay.
gold for 50,
Okay.
diamond for 60, platinum for 70th.
Oh.
Okay, but here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
This is where history and the queen comes back into play. Darn queen. Not the last one, Queen Victoria.
Okay.
So what happened is they had to add another diamond because of the fact that Queen Victoria only had the diamond because it was her 60th, and that was it. So when Queen Elizabeth got to 75, they didn't know what to call it again, so it just became a diamond jubilee.
Okay, so it was diamond,
Yeah,
but
so
there
it
was
goes back
another
and forth.
diamond,
So
like
now there's
double
two.
diamond.
So now if you get to the double diamond, that's how you know you made it.
That's
So you got diamond, platinum, diamond.
okay.
You can't tell me there's another ruby we couldn't have called
like
this, or
an
another
emerald.
stone. Like, yeah, what something, tungsten?
Peridot, you're right. Right. Like, don't try to make it better. Just try to make it weird or like fun to decorate with.
Yeah, what's the most precious, thing besides gold and diamonds and I guess platinum. God dang, we're running out of elements. No wonder they went to diamond. They said, that there's someone that gets paid like millions of pounds a year that was sitting in the Queen's chamber going, so what do we call this? That was their big decision of the year. That was it. That was the biggest thing they were doing.
I would like to see that brainstorming session when they were like,
God.
they like had all these ideas and they were like, I think we just have to do diamond. Or it was a 5-minute conversation and they were like, she likes diamonds. Let's go with that.
I love it. Okay, this is just great. So, all right. So, but they were a big name though, because that's such a right. I've seen like so many photos of like was it Schweppes or
Schweppe?
Schweppe. So, was it a grocery store? Just so paint the picture for me.
So, okay, he owned a clothing store.
Okay.
And then the Schweppe family, actually, Janet Schweppe worked for the library, and she just died last year, and she was the last Schweppe to live in Alton, in the original house that overlooks the bluffs as well. And so it was really fun when she was still alive, and I know her brother is still alive, but he doesn't live in the area. I would send her little tidbits about her family when I found them, and we really enjoyed that. There was one where they had, it's not in here, but I think it was Angie and Harry, but they were her great-grandparents. So her grandparents and parents lived in the area too. But I think that it was Harry and Angie. They had a night blooming flower that was going to be blooming. And so that was in the Telegraph talking about people coming to visit to see this flower. And so they, very prominent in business. And then also with a lot of stuff that they did for the community Harry was a member of the Alton Park Commission for more than 25 years. Angie was a dynamic person. She was really, really interesting. We actually portrayed her in Vintage Voices several years ago.
What'd she do?
She was crucial in the Humane Society, like being prominent in Alton. So she and Sophia DeMuth was the first police matron. So
what's a matron? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. She was the first woman police, like she was in charge of, I don't know exactly what she was in charge of.
Would it not be considered a police chief?
I don't.
Is it not the same role? I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just know she was the first police matron. So I think that she was just the first female police officer, like officially.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's cool.
And so what they kind of did was she took care of the humans and Angie Schweppe took care of the animals. Like they talked about that.
Gotcha.
Like together they were taking care of the whole community. But yeah, Angie Schweppe and also Sophia DeMuth were so prominent that they ended up being portrayed as wax figurines at the Illinois State Museum. And so these figurines still exist there. Yeah. So in 1929, that's
incredible.
Chicago artist who her name was Mina Schmidt, and she's got a great backstory herself. She was a costume designer. She created 129 figurines of women that had been important in Illinois' history.
Wow.
So locally, we had Angie Schweppe, Sophia DeMuth, and Harriet Newell Haskell, who's from Monticello Seminary, Monticello College history. But they're all part of that collection, and those still exist. And in like the 50s, they had them in Alton in a display at one of the banks. But anyway, she did a lot with women's suffrage. And
what was the suffrage movement like here in Alton? Was it pretty pronounced?
Yes. Yeah. Well, Illinois actually gave women the right to vote before they had it nationally.
Right.
So
was it like kind of like a I don't want to say a home base, but kind of like where you knew like you were safe, you had a strong support group there because know what I'm saying?
There was a very strong support group for
I'm not making
suffrage.
too much sense today.
No, that's all right. Well, and a lot of it was wrapped up with the women's Christian temperance movement. So the push for prohibition and the push for women's suffrage were wrapped up together.
Was that kind of like Susan B. Anthony's thing too? Because wasn't she against prohibition too?
For prohibition?
No, wasn't she wasn't she for prohibition?
Yeah,
too?
Against alcohol. I think
she never marched on it,
so.
But I thought that was kind of one of her she wrote something on it.
Yeah, for all of our prohibition, a lot of why so many women were for prohibition in that time period, it was because there weren't a lot of the social programs that existed now where if you couldn't work, if you were a woman and you basically couldn't have a job outside the home in a lot of places, obviously sometimes they did, but it was much more limited in what you could do to support your family. And if your husband, who is supposed to be the entire financial support, is making money and then spending it all on alcohol.
Right. And which happened way too much.
It
was more than the majority.
Yes. It was a huge, huge issue. And so a lot of women were involved in the temperance movement because that was
like a driving force.
Yeah.
I get you. Okay. See, that's a very fascinating thing. Wow. I'm learning today.
Well, it was kind of I viewed prohibition in such a different way when I learned that.
Yeah.
It was okay, it's not just people are trying to take away something that people enjoy.
There was a snow globe effect, really, of what it honestly kind of is fascinating because it's what alcohol did to the family and who was, you know what I'm saying, and how it affected them kind of personally, but not personally in the same regard, like the roles.
Well, yeah, and a lot of what Sophia DeMuth was doing was taking care of women and children, especially children that didn't have anyone, and sometimes that was related to the substance abuse of their parents. So they were kind of in the middle of this. That's Angie Schweppe, I know for sure, was doing suffrage. I don't know what else in terms of prohibition or anything, but she was on a lot of the sort of human and animal welfare kinds of committees and stuff.
Well, and I just think it's so fascinating too because and it's going to be more apparent, I guess, for our generation, like you and like our current living, like working active generation, the people that we grew up knowing, we're going to start to see their legacy taking shape here in a couple of years. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
But what I find fascinating too is just talking about it now, like these people were actively working in 1924, 25,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And what I find fascinating is what are we going to talk about? What's the next Lacy McDonald and going to talk about in 100 years or 50 years after we're long and gone? You know, what's that? What is that? You know, that's kind of what I drive for. You know, what's going to be in the paper? I won't have anything because they won't write a darn thing about me. I could fly tomorrow and they will do everything they could to make sure that no one knew about it. You know, I'm just telling you, not here at RiverBender, the print. I'm just telling you, it happens way too much.
This is like a terrifying thing for me as someone that uses historical items. Like RiverBender is online. And we can only print out so much to like have at the library. And I'm just always terrified of what gets lost.
Nothing. We have I have figured this out because I've asked the question.
Okay, good.
What happens if nothing? We have such a secure database and we're good to go.
Good.
I have been told that if something ever catastrophically happened, it would be less than a day before we're backed up and running to normal.
Well, that's awesome. That makes me feel better.
So don't worry.
So your legacy will live on.
Hey, and just remember, it was printed, but you almost lost him if you guys weren't attentive that day for all those photos. Remember?
I mean, right.
Isn't that crazy to think? I mean, that's the other flip side of it for the print.
Yes.
But you're right on the digital because when it's gone, you don't even know if it's there or not. But with the print stuff, you knew it existed at one point. You just can't find it.
Yeah.
God, this is getting deep.
Well, yeah, this is what I deal with a lot in terms of, the preservation side of my job. Like, we try to keep digital and physical copies of things so that if anything happens, if there's a fire somewhere, or if, things get lost online, that there's always some sort of backup in some sort of way. Yeah. But it keeps me up at night also.
Well, it does because there's so many times that you look for history in other towns and there is literally nothing. Right. It is like 1955 to 60 onward because that's when people started having at least some form of technology to make notes of. But with us, we got kind of blessed because there was so much data that it's amazing. What I think about, Lacy, is for you guys, how much you found, how much is missing.
I know.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to, I get that's what probably keeps you up at night, too, because it's like you find all these really cool things, but it's like, but what else is out there? Well,
and some of it we know. There were German newspapers that we don't have. There were black newspapers that we don't have.
See, I didn't know anything about any of that.
Yeah, and so history... Coworker Lauren and I were talking about this the other day. History becomes what was saved. Yeah. So it's not always just a reflection of what was happening. The historical materials that we have now create our understanding of what was happening. And then the stuff that didn't have any sort of paper or wasn't recorded in a way that we can access it now, it just disappears.
For a lot of towns, they only had one journalist. So you were counting on the viewpoint of that specific journalist. Yes. And that's a whole nother ball game to look into. Ooh. It's like who is paying off who. And I guess it's true. It happens. It happens all the time. Mm-hmm. With that being said, what were we talking about? Oh, wait, hold on. Before we go into your article again. Why do we not know more about Trumbull?
Lyman Trumbull?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I want to talk about him all the time. This guy is amazing. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was talking with John the other day about it, and I said I would love to do just on him. That guy is.
Well, I can write an article.
Can you do it?
Trumbull. Yeah.
Can you do that for me? I want to know as much as I can on this guy. People drive by his house all the time, and they don't know how important that darn house is, and why that flag's there, and the 13th Amendment, and how important that. It's just so cool.
Well, I can do instead of 100 years ago, I can make it 150 or whatever we need to do to make it happen.
And just put in a headline for CJ. That way they know that.
Maybe I'm wrong about this, but if we deviate a little bit every once in a while.
Just once, just for me. Because I just have been so fascinated about learning more about him. And online, there's info, but it's so hard to piece it all together, you know?
Huh. All right, I'll write about Lyman Trumbull.
Man, okay, I got you guys a treat coming up. You're welcome. And it ain't even Friday.
Be great on a day, on a week where I'm I have no idea what I'm going to write about. Lyman Trumbull.
You can start off February with it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay.
There you go. How about that? Or I don't know. I'm not telling you how to do your show.
All right.
We're just brainstorming, actually. All right, back to Lacy's actual segment. That's what we came here to talk about today.
Yeah.
So the golden wedding anniversary
Yes.
was being celebrated. And did the town celebrate with them?
Yeah, so there were several newspaper articles about how it was going to be the Schweppe's golden wedding anniversary, and to make sure that you said something to them when you saw them, or to stop by their home on the day.
So how much did they pay the Telegraph for ads back in the day?
That's a good question. There were a lot of Schweppe ads.
Was that because of it? They were saying, like, wish him I'm not being funny, but
No.
just going back to our talk earlier about, what the viewpoint is.
Right. Okay. They were prominent enough that a lot of people knew them, and would probably have been disappointed that they could have said,
Gotcha.
like, something nice and didn't realize it. But at the same time, then you kind of like want to be friends with whoever's the editor somewhere, because then like you get nice things said about you.
Right. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it.
But no,
it's such a fascinating point to make.
Because it's all wrapped up together.
It is. And honestly, you're right, because they're such a prominent, that name was so prominent.
Yeah.
You can, if you type in, Alton comes up.
Yeah.
With it, seriously.
Yes.
So it's like, it just makes you kind of wonder, though, a little bit. Huh. Kind of cool, though. So where did they do like a public anniversary?
It was at their house. And
was the public invited?
They seem to be. I mean, there was a
maybe that's why. Maybe that's why because they were doing this public party, and they wanted folks to the community to celebrate with them.
Right. So I don't think it was a surprise. They didn't like open the newspaper and were like, oh no, now everyone's coming to our party, because it was very planned. So they had flowers everywhere. I think white and yellow were the theme colors. They had a wedding cake with yellow icing, and I think with their names on it. And their children were there, their grandchildren were there. I didn't talk about this in the article, but they had several generations worth of wedding dresses that people were wearing to like show different styles of wedding dresses.
See, now I'm getting it now. It wasn't an ad. This was a public event.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it was a public event.
That's what I was getting. Like, why did they say happy anniversary so many times? This was a big deal.
And it was...
Okay, now my brain's... I'm getting this now.
There were two major articles I used for this. One of them said, a useful, honored couple... And that was on January 5th. And that talked about, it was called A Useful Honored Couple. That talked about their contributions to the community and to make sure you wish them a golden wedding anniversary. Right. And then the next article was about the event. So I don't think
it didn't promote the event. It didn't promote
it.
Okay.
It was a reporting of the event, but it was very clear beforehand that this was a sort of public celebration.
Okay.
Instead of just for their family. Right. But I want to say they had 3 different generations of wedding dresses that people were wearing. Like somebody was wearing the one that Angie Schweppe had worn when they got married, and then like her daughter was wearing her dress, or something like that. But
wow.
I got too confused about who was wearing what and what their relationship was to the couple that I just figured I'd talk about that on here.
Good point.
Yeah.
Fair point. So with that being said, what'd you take away from your experience with this?
So I have always just been fascinated by Angie Schweppe and really admired her. One really interesting thing about her is that she was almost always called Angie Rand Schweppe. Rand is her maiden name, because she had so many things she was doing in the community outside of just her husband's work.
Oh, so they knew of her before before the marriage?
Not before the marriage, because I think she was not from here. He was. I don't know how they met, but I do know that she was always, I don't want to say always, because there would be things that said like Mr. and Mrs. H.M. Schweppe went to dinner, But like in a lot of things in that time period, even when a woman was doing something on her own, like when you look at the list of all the women that were the original charter members of the Alton Women's Home Association, and I think she's on that list. I know Sophia, either she or Sophia DeMuth is on that list. And they, along with a doctor, I want to say her name was Nina Merritt, they're the only ones that are listed with their first name.
Really?
Versus just Mrs. John Smith. So that alone makes her a much easier person to research than a lot of women in that time period. And it also sort of shows how much she was out in the community as her own self, which I'm not trying to take away from anything from the women that didn't have that. It was just so rare in that time period that it makes it even more impressive that she was known as Angie Rand Schweppe. And one of the things I put in the article is a video that links to a RiverBender video with Debbie Manicky portraying Angie Schweppe in 2023. So you can kind of see it from her own perspective right next to her grave at the Alton Cemetery. But yeah, she was fascinating.
It is really cool. We'll play that in a second to end the segment on. But what I find really interesting too is just the ending of this, because they celebrated 1924.
Yes,
golden
1925, early 1925.
So she had passed 4 years later.
Yes,
and he really just it kind of, from what you wrote, changed him.
Yes.
It was definitely he knew it was time for him to start taking a leave of absence.
I would say too, part of what I like about them separately and as a couple, like he clearly really supported her and the things that she was doing. And so part of the reason you see her as Angie Rand Schweppe is because he didn't have a complex of like
an ego.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's how you can see that among married couples in that time period, when the man is able to have his wife be separate from him in that way. And then, they'd been married for years and truly considered each other partners. They'd been married for 55 years when she died, 54 years. That is something to admire as well.
It really is. Yeah, it really is kind of a really good piece. We talked about a lot of things for our wedding anniversary. What are you writing about next week?
I am writing about W.T. Norton, who is the author of The Centennial History of Madison County, which is like one of the major books about this time period, or about Alton, Godfrey, et cetera, in this time period. And he died in 1925. So we're doing a marriage and then we're doing death. But
good.
I've
covered both.
Do it all.
Yeah.
So he died 100 years ago, and we're going to talk about his contributions before he died.
Really cool.
Thanks.
All right. Well, before I send you off to a commercial break, learn more about
Angie.
Learn more about Angie.
Maybe that was her nickname.
Learn more about Angie Schweppe, correct?
Yes.
And who portrayed Angie again?
Debbie Manicky.
And we'll take you there now.
Oh, good afternoon. Oh, Sassy, come here. Come to Mama. Oh, she is such a feisty puppy. There. Oh. If she gets in your way, just shoo her out of the way. Oh, she's so independent. Although she does stay rather close during our midnight strolls through the cemetery. I'm Angie. And I do love animals. I love all creatures, really. My dear friend Sophia DeMuth and I founded the Alton chapter of the National Humane Society. And we represented them on the state and the national levels. Sophia and I both died in 1929, just 11 days apart. We do so hope that our passion for those helpless creatures has been carried on. It has been said about me that I could not bear to hear of any violence toward any creature and not do something about it. It has also been said about me that there never was any question on which side of an issue I stood. There was that business with this certain high school biology teacher who was breaking the law with his feline dissection practices. Well, when I got word about that, I got the entire school board and the state's attorney involved, and let's just say that high school biology teacher stopped those dissection practices, and he suffered a fine of 5% of his salary, and for good measure, I mimeographed copies of that law and spread them out throughout the entire school district. So there would never again be any more of that nasty business. Though I was born in Maine, I settled in Alton, and my husband Harry and I owned a dry good and grocer over on 2nd Street. We lived up on Prospect in that beautiful house known as the Piasaw Bird Lodge. It sits out looking over the Mississippi River, right above where they painted the Piasaw bird on the bluffs. It was designed by the famous architect Lucas Pfeifenberger, who happens to now be my neighbor just a few plots down. He also designed the Beale Mansion and the supposedly haunted McPike Mansion, as well as St. Mary's Catholic Church over on Henry Street. Well, one day, I got word that the old ladies' home, what a god-awful name, had a piece of property that they no longer needed near my house. So, I decided that the city of Alton needed to buy that property and build a park looking out over the Mississippi for all to enjoy. So, I thwarted every possible sale of that property and may have held it in my own name for a time until the city of Alton could come around to my way of thinking. Well, they did come around to my way of thinking, and they built what is now known as Riverview Park, with that gorgeous white gazebo where you might hear the Muni Band on a Thursday night, or witness a gorgeous wedding, or perhaps take a romantic stroll down one of the pathways. It is perhaps my greatest triumph. It is my legacy. Harry says that I can be stubborn. Well, so be it. My greatest, hardest, most passionate battle was that for women's suffrage. I joined every committee, every organization, and may have practiced just a little civil disobedience in my pursuit for every woman in our nation to get the right to vote. The fight began on the national level in 1848 in Seneca Falls, New York, and it did not end until 1920 with the passage of the 19th Amendment. Can you believe that? It took nearly my entire lifetime. So ladies, please, please, never forget how hard we fought and how much we gave up. And do not ever squander that right. And by all means, never let anyone try and take it away from you. I left this earth at the age of 75, and the Alton Telegraph published my obituary, and it began, "Another useful citizen has closed her career." Useful? I joined every committee. I chaired up every committee. I founded so many foundations, including the Alton Women's Home Association, and all of the philanthropy that I bestowed upon the city. I fought with every fiber of my being to bring about purposeful change in the city of Alton. I fought against slavery. I fought against racism. I fought against economic oppression and sexual violence. You know, Harry may have brought home the bacon, but I made sure that everyone, no matter what their station in this life, at least got a taste of it. Come along, Sassy. I feel a change in the wind.